love your background. Like, I love the balloon.
Thank
I love
you.
the guitar.
You
You are very creative, my guy. Like,
Hey.
I didn't know you were a I didn't know you were musically enabled. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. I that's where I started. I played music. Well, I played music forever, but yeah, my first professional gig, if you want to say in show business, was in an a cappella boy band that did cruise ships. So
Wow, how cool is that? Um,
it was a thing.
Before we get started with a lot of the and the thing that people are talking about, give me a musical influence that you absolutely love. That you're
It's going to be a deep cut for probably anybody who's not familiar with Canadian folk, but Stan Rogers is a big one for me. He's a baritone folk music artist from Canada. Does a lot of East Coast stuff, or did a lot of East Coast stuff. Sorry, sadly he passed away in the early '80s at a very way too young age, but excellent storyteller.
yeah. Who would you throw up there as a second and third?
Well, I've done a Johnny Cash show, so to be honest, I didn't know Johnny that well until I spent 3 years doing a musical based on his life and fell in love with Johnny Cash. So I'll put Johnny Cash up on there. Um, and then, I mean, I guess Weird Al Yankovic was my first love when I was a kid, and I'm still,
Mark, I love that.
yeah.
Mark, that is an awesome answer. That like I'm so glad you said that. Like, he's so wonderful, and he gets
And he's still relevant. He's still putting stuff out. He's great.
yes. I so agree with that. It's so well said. I have to say this is not popular, and he's got a biopic out, so it's even probably less popular. But and this is going to be really bad. But like, I've said this in an interview before. I just don't understand the hype behind Bruce Springsteen. Listen, I'm not. listen.
Uh, I mean, he's in his 60s now or 70s, and legendarily, a few years ago, he just did a show forever in Toronto that I know some people who were at that show, and like he just didn't stop playing. So, I mean, Bruce Springsteen, I got to give him props.
But I'm just saying, like I'm not like to each their own. Like yeah, like I think the music biopics. I feel I don't know how you feel, but like there's a Michael Jackson one coming out. I think in April. We have the Bruce one. There's so many. I feel like we're oversaturating the importance of that, Mark, by doing that.
Well, Weird Al did the biopic of them all. I think his kind of is a
Yes.
parody of biopics, which is, of course, it's so Al. It's so good. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm so happy you said that. Like so I want to hop into your phenomenal performance, which I think is kind of under the radar a little bit, and it shouldn't be because it's so good. It is the thing that people were talking about at water coolers forever. Like, it was so prolific. People are never going to forget about it. But I wanted to say one thing before we hop into the depths of it. So I want to say this. I want to put something on the screen. I hope you're okay with this.
okay.
I want to say, like, one, I think you're a terrible TV dad. But like I was looking at this, Mark. Are you a terrible dad of twins? Like, am I losing my mind? Like, are you like I was looking at this, I'm like, oh my god, Mark is not a great TV dad, but he's a horrible dad of twins. Am I reading into things, Mark, or is it something?
The first two kids turned out pretty great. I mean, Arlene seems to have a bit of a fetish for liver, but
And putting it on people's faces.
yeah, I mean, both those kids, Lachlan and
Yes.
Audrey, who play our two kids, and I mean Miles, obviously, not one of our kids, technically, the hitchhiker. Everybody in that scene was so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently there's an absorbed twin. But we got a bit of a preview on set with that because Andy had a latex version of the baby to show us. So we kind of had an idea what it was going to look like, but it looks so good in the final edit. It's incredible. I mean, the VFX team did an incredible job with that thing. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that I mean, I gotta say that one scene, like, did you hear a lot about that after you shot that? Because man, Like people were, I think for a lot of reasons in that one episode, people were expecting like Stranger Things and Stand By Me and this love fest, and what they got was a brutal sledgehammer to the head. Like I feel like it was. I mean, I guess it's a little graphic, but
I'm glad to hear you say that. I think when we were shooting that and we're going around and like a lot of the crew have worked with Andy before, and they were saying this like we've never seen anything like this before. This is crazy. I can't believe we're doing this. And I've seen Barbara in interviews saying that she expected there to be like a call from HBO being like, you guys have gone too far. You can't do that. And they didn't. So they went for it, and that's yeah. It's pretty intense. It was a bit surreal when we were shooting it, but we're like, all right, well, this is what we're doing. So there we went.
how long did that entire car scene, Mark, take to shoot?
The car scene itself, our first day was on location in Port Hope in a snowstorm, which was the only snowstorm that we got in the Toronto area that winter. It was the most perfect snowstorm. There was no fake snow. It was snowing perfectly all night, like just this perfect light snow that just kept falling and falling and falling for hours. So that was the first day. Was we shot the exterior, the on location stuff, and then I think it was either 3 or 4 days in the studio or on the soundstage that we did. I think 3 long days, if my memory serves me correctly.
Mark, how do you guys spend that downtime? Like, I'm going to get into the cast who was with you, but like you touched upon it earlier. How do you guys spend it? Because I feel like, and everyone's answered. Like, I've interviewed some of the cast. I have some coming on after you, and I'm dying to ask you this. Like, how do you guys spend the downtime? And everyone says like they felt safe on set, and I guess that's not what I'm trying to say. But like, how do you spend that downtime? Because what you're shooting is like, it's not. Well, it's diabolical. Like but it's awesome to watch. But how do you?
I mean, you say that. I mean, I don't watch scary stuff. I don't like scary stuff. I never have. As a kid, I never got into the scary stuff. I have friends who were so into getting scared and loved that stuff. I always like comedy, and I can tell you that being an actor in a scary thing was hilarious, and I hope to do it again and again. And I told Andy, I was like, "You've got to put me in everything now." It was a blast. I mean, he was so much fun, and I mean, Zoe and we lost our voices. We were laughing so hard at the end of takes. We had so much fun shooting that. But the downtime question, I mean, I always bring a guitar with me to set, so I'll be back in my trailer or off in some corner playing and singing to myself, trying not to bother anybody. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of downtime, especially for Zoe and I because of the union rules with kids. We would get called first, so they would shoot any coverage of Zoe and I first in the morning, and then when the kids came in, they do their coverage. So a lot of times we were not needed, or if we might be sitting on an Apple box behind a camera if we needed to give them lines or something. But there was more downtime for the parents in the middle of the day, and then we would get to go in the night when the kids would pumpkin, as they say, when their hours were up. But yeah, like I always have a book on set, always have a guitar, or sometimes I'm just hanging out watching. Which is fun too. Like this was one of those shows where because we were there day after day, we really got to know the crew. I mean, Andy is a lot of fun to chat with in between takes, and but even just anybody on set, we would like. I actually spent an hour one day talking to the VFX team just to get an idea of what they were going to do. Like, because there was at one point we had this setup where they couldn't easily get the reference latex baby on into the front of the car. So I was just like, just give it to me and I'll do it. So they just had me sort of manipulate this thing and just for lighting and stuff. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing, but I could follow direction. That's it's kind of my job.
Yeah.
But after that, I had a great chat with the VFX team to just be like, okay, so what was that, and how are you going to use that, and because obviously what you see on screen is not any of that, but they just kind of use it for reference, I guess, for what the light was in the car. And anyway, I just found it really fascinating. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I can ramble on all. You got to cut me off, Derek.
No, you're great. I love what you're saying. Like, you're so wise to do what you do. Like, to hang around.
Yeah,
Like, I can't believe more actors. I can't believe more actors don't hang around set or talk to their director, or talk, like you said, talk to that team. Like, like that is the ultimate learning. I mean, people go to acting coaches and the acting schools and Juilliard, but I got to tell you, like, being on set with a director as great as Andy, like, you did exactly what I mean, what I would have said is the wisest thing to do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's so smart to do that.
There's a lot of cases where it's not possible, right? Like when we're shooting something like this, where, like, I mean, obviously we spent a lot of time on this scene. I wasn't there for them shooting anything else. Obviously, I'm not in any other scenes. Well, that's not true. I'm in The Music Man, in case you missed it. That was our other day. But the car opening, they obviously spent a lot of time with it because they wanted it to be right. I mean, it was clear that Andy wanted to do something with it. It was a special scene. It starts the whole series, so it had to be good. And I'm glad to hear that you think it is. But we had time, and I think a lot of times when you're shooting, there isn't time. Like we're going from one setup to another, and they're like, boom, you're in and out, and you don't have time really to sit and chat with the director. I mean, I've been on set before where the director doesn't talk to me at all. Like literally, there is no time. We just come in, you do the scene,
Right.
and then it's like, all right, they're moving on. They've got 3 other scenes to shoot that day. And maybe you get a handshake or something, but it was lovely to have that amount of time to do this, and yeah, like yeah, but it's rare in my experience anyway, so far in my career.
Yeah, I gotta say, Mark, though, like, you and Zoe are like terrific, and I know I said this before, but I just feel like it's a little bit undersold how well you guys punted off that series and how you guys kicked off that Welcome to Derry, because I think that's what people were talking and still talking about. I mean, we're approaching episode 3. It's going to drop, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, whatever time it comes off on Friday. But like, I just feel like it's a bit undersold as far as the work that everybody in that car did. You and Zoe, especially, because obviously you're the adults in that car. And it's so funny because as I'm asking you this, I'm thinking about the interviews I have lined up. They're all with kids and how much kids drive this show. And there's not really many adults in it. And the adults that I see, I feel like I could say this too. And I don't know. I just think you and Zoe did a wonderful job just putting this show in the right direction. Like, just so great.
Thanks for saying that. Zoe and I, like I said, we were having so much fun, and I think we were also lucky in the way that our schedule was. Our first day on set was actually the Music Man scene. That was the first thing we did, and it was back in January or February. And so we got to meet the kids, and we got to meet their parents, and we got to meet each other. And, and we had a bit of a rehearsal day before that where they were kind of trying to teach us the choreography for the Music Man, right? And so as a family, that's the first time that any of us have seen each other or worked together before. But we had a whole day doing the Music Man. And as you can see in the final cut, it's a small piece, right? The car scene is the meat of what we really did.
Right.
But when we came back to start shooting the car scene, we already knew each other. So it was like, oh, hey, Lachlan, how's your bagpipe competition going? Or, Audrey, good to see you again. And Zoe, oh my God, we're going to be able to do this scene. So we already had a bit of a camaraderie and some chemistry building as a family. And that carried through. I mean, that location shoot that we did at Port Hope, like, it's about midnight when we're shooting, and Lachlan's bedtime is 9 o'clock. Like, they were feeding him Halloween candy to keep him going, but he and Audrey are literally singing at the top of their lungs whatever silly song they're singing in the back seat, and Zoe and I are sitting in the front seat, and they call action, and we're like, kids, shut up back there, daddy's got a line, so we like literally 2 seconds before that window rolls down, the two kids in the back are singing at the top of their lungs. So like we're having so much fun, and we felt like a family right away. And I think that is the magic of that scene, for me anyway. Like that, or I mean, obviously, there's a lot that went into that scene, but for us as a family to be able to work with those kids and each other and sort of build up that family dynamic over the course of the shoot, because we shot that in February, March, and then we finished in June. So like we didn't see each other for a couple of months, and then we were back on the soundstage in June finishing it up. So it was a big, long time period, but we had a lot of time together. So
Mark, you ever think that if the Christmas Vacation, the Griswolds were a horror movie, that you guys would be it?
that's a great analogy. That's one of my favorite movies as a kid. So I'm glad you brought that up. It felt very much like that. Like I did not have to. Like I don't have any kids of my own. I'm a proud uncle of several of my siblings or kids.
Very nice.
It was not hard to act like a dad to these kids because we felt like a family. So it was a lot of fun.
But like it's just so like it's just such a nutty world because like you and Zoe are I mean your characters are, you know, she's going back about how she can't, the daughter making comments about her legs, and then you know the son has an eye that looks just like, you know, Pennywise. That the daughter is trying to take the liver blood and put it. I just think it was just a roller coaster for 10 minutes that I wish every show had that. And I don't want to sound repetitive, and we're going to move on past this, but I don't know. I love that hearing that you had the chemistry off camera, because whatever you did off camera certainly led to what the magic that appeared on camera. So
I feel that for sure. And
yeah.
Not only were the kids great, but I have to say their parents were the sweetest too. Like we got to meet all of their parents over the course of the shoot, and it was just a lovely group of people to be involved with. So I was so thankful for that. So it was great.
So I'm interviewing a lot of the kids on the show, and I know their parents are there, and they're so wonderful. The kids have been so great. Like I know Clara, I talked to, she's looking at mom off the camera, and I think it's so sweet. And you know, it's just I have Miles coming on, and I know I just think it's so wonderful because at 15 or 14, I couldn't handle anything these kids are doing. They're marvelous on camera and off.
Yeah.
I just think whoever did the casting here with the adults and the kids, they struck gold. They hired and casted some really wonderful human beings here. Yeah,
no, I just couldn't. I mean, that the spelling that Lachlan was doing, like we got the day that we started shooting the spelling, like Lachlan's, I think he was 9 years old when we shot this. And I'm thinking like, they gave us 3 separate rewrites of the script that morning before we even got to set. Like we showed up, they're like, oh, there's rewrites. Okay, yeah, great. And in hair and makeup, here's actually there's more rewrites. And then, you know, so a lot of that scene was, we're still figuring it out. And he learned his lines faster than anybody else. He was great. The kids on the show are awesome. And Clara, I never got to meet her, but I have seen her work, and she's blowing me away. You know, people call her Mark. People call her a scream queen. I almost feel so. There's nothing wrong with being a scream queen. She has an incredibly good scream,
but I feel like she's so much more than it. I feel like a scream queen is underselling what she's capable of.
She looks like an old school movie star.
Yes. My God. Thank you for saying that. Like I wanted to say that to her in an interview, and I didn't know how to phrase it without. It sounds insulting if I were to say that. She's so old school and so talented. And so let me tell you this. I posted this on TikTok. I posted the interview. I like the comments that were coming. Like many were nice, but some were just like very like just. I had to shut it off. But she is certainly something like we have never seen before as far as talent, ability. She's just very gifted actor.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to put any pressure on her to do whatever she wants to do with her life, but what she's doing on Welcome to Derry is incredible. She's magnetic, and she's a very talented actress, obviously.
Yeah, well said, Mark. Mark, are we to assume that everybody in that car, I mean, coming into episode 3, like I said, in a few hours, are we to assume everybody in that car is deceased?
I don't think you can assume anything in this world. I don't have too much insider information, but I wouldn't spoil anything for you. I am hopeful that I will end up back in the show at some point, but in this season, I don't think you're going to see me. But who knows what happened to me?
Yeah, because it's wild because
I guess
you're in
Andy
two.
knows.
Yeah, you're in two, but you could come back. I interviewed Mikhail and, like I said, there's somebody else I interviewed where it says 8, but they've been killed off. Jack, they've been killed off,
Yeah.
but like they're coming back for like so. And I don't want to overthink it because I'm going to ruin the show for myself, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody that's listening or watching.
Yeah, I hate spoilers. I absolutely.
I do, but it's like, how tough is it for Andy to be able to put on IMDb this character's in it for 8, but they've been killed off at 1, and Jack's in the episode with his sister who's been. It's
Right.
just so there's so many layers to this.
There's flashbacks. I mean, we're traveling through time, this 27-year cycle.
Yeah.
Just because somebody may be dead in episode 1 doesn't mean that we won't see them later on in some form or other. There's a lot of options, Derek. So just keep an open mind, and we'll just go along for the ride.
So let me ask you this, Mark: are the people in the car, the family that we see,
Mhm.
they're not given a name, but are we to assume that they are people that are possessed by the entity? I'll say Pennywise or whatever, or are they just Pennywise straight up? So, like, I don't. I mean, again, I'm just maybe you're making an educated guess here. I'm not.
Yeah, so I can tell you, as I understand it, and I may be misquoting Andy, our family was a manifestation of it. Just like Pennywise, Pennywise is the clown.
Correct.
We are one of the manifestations of it. So it shows up in many different forms. I think Pennywise is kind of the most famous form, but especially I think people who've read the book. I haven't read the book, but I'm familiar enough with the lore to know there are other ways that it has sort of manifested itself over the decades, and we are clearly some fun form. And I think the idea that we are exploring here is that I think Andy's been has said some of this in interviews, that it likes to sort of take on forms that relate to the fears of the people it is trying to get fear out of. And of course, Maddie has a bad family situation at home that we don't really know about, but I mean, he's got a bruise on his eye. It's clearly not, and he uses the pacifier. So that sort of alludes to a rough family situation. And so he sees this really nice family, and then it turns out this family is not so nice. So I think that's kind of the angle that it is using there to get the fear out of Maddie.
Yeah. Awesome
That's
answer.
that's
Awesome.
that's the best way I can understand
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Awesome answer, Mark. I have to say though, like when I watch this, and I've said this in other interviews, I just like the show is a horrifying show. It's the horror. I get that, but what's scariest for me is how it or the entity manifests itself. So, like in Teddy's case, making he's of Jewish descent. The lampshade
Hmm.
turns it like that is. Are
Exactly.
you kidding me? Like
Hmm.
mentally, it's like out of this world. So it's like
Hmm.
it's that stuff, and I feel like the idea that, and I'm going to ask this to a couple of the kid guests and the child actor guests, but I feel like you could answer this too. The idea that Pennywise does go after kids because they're so genuine and kind.
I mean, my understanding, as I said, I don't watch scary things. The only Stephen King book I read was his book on writing, which everybody who wants to be a writer should read that book. It's very inspiring. But I guess my understanding again is that he's feeding on the fear, and I would say kids probably have just a really pure fear that
That's it.
probably
You said it much better than I did. Yeah, yeah,
it's the purity of the fear that tastes so sweet.
yeah. And he can't get away from that because adults have kind of they've developed over time as far as their mental cognitive develop. You know, they know what they're saying, and kids have not gotten there yet. So we mentioned King a little bit. let me ask you this: what is your favorite King work? Shawshank, Green Mile. There's so much.
Shawshank, I have to say, Shawshank is one of my favorite movies, so it's got to be Shawshank for me. But his book on writing, I quote it all the time. There's a lot of nuggets in there. If you haven't read that, you should. The Green Mile is a great movie, but it's one of those movies that I didn't expect it to be so scary. And again, I don't like scary stuff. Like some of that electric chair scene, it still haunts me. So but Shawshank is a great story.
Green Mile is definitely scary, but I really feel like Mark, that it's just I don't know. I just feel the way the story unfolds is such a powerful perspective on what humans can do. I don't know. I love the end of that. Like, it's hard to watch. Like, he cures her of cancer at the end.
Yeah.
But like, it's just to watch that, how that unfolds at the end is heartbreaking. You know, and it's crazy, Mark, because King is this guy of he's a master of horror, but he's also a master of relationships. Andy and Red and Shawshank, Stand By Me. He does these movies about friendship and relationships, and it's
he's very character driven. I mean, and he talks about that in his book about how he basically lets the characters tell him what the story will be. He doesn't come in with a preconceived idea of a plot. He has some strong ideas of characters, and I think as an actor, I mean, anytime you have a strong character, that really resonates, right? You want people who feel real. Fully formed, and that's definitely a huge strength of Stephen King, I think, in general.
Yeah, and it's so weird because it kind of encompasses both, right? It encompasses the horror and the friendship, because the losers, I think we're all watching this, Mark, expecting, oh my goodness, like, this is going to be one heck of a ride. It's going to be Stranger Things. It's going to be these kids fighting back, and oh my gosh, like the bookend of the beginning and the end, we are so proven wrong. And to the genius of Andy and the great casting, and I don't know, it's just, Mark, were you privy to the entire series, or are you just up to?
No, they were. I only got to see what I got to see, so I know what I know, which is what I'm in, and I don't know anything that I'm not in. So I can't tell you any. I can't spoil anything even if I wanted to, which as I said, I hate spoilers, so I wouldn't. But it's funny you mentioned Stranger Things a couple of times, but my understanding is Stranger Things is kind of a throwback to Stephen King, like to the Losers Club. Like it's kind of I think I've seen people comparing Welcome to Derry to Stranger Things, but that makes sense since Stranger Things is kind of based on the Losers Club, or it's a bit of a, not really based on maybe, but certainly inspired by. So.
Mark, you don't
kind of live in the same world, I guess.
Mark, you don't think with Stranger Things is like, I feel like it's like Napoleon Dynamite. I'm not quite sure what year it is. Like, I think it's the 80s. I think it's the 90s. I might be wrong.
It feels 80s, 90s, right? But which is kind of like, which is my era. So it feels familiar.
Yeah, well, Mark, I can't. And again, I have two more questions left for you, but thank you so much for this. Like,
Pleasure.
yes. So we, just looking at your career, I did not know about how heavily musically talented you were. I didn't know that. Like, I think it's phenomenal. Like, I think it's so awesome that you are that. Where do you want the future to go as far as what you are capable of acting musically? Like, where does that end up for you, Mark?
Well, I'm still waiting for Andy's call for season 2. That would be amazing. I think this year actually has been a really busy year for me, which has been, I'm so grateful that things have been coming my way, and I just hope it keeps going that way for me. I don't know if I will ever be in something as much fun as what Welcome to Derry was, but I hope so. I hope it's just a sign of things to come. But we'll see. I'm just here for the ride.
Yeah, I'm looking at this picture on my screen. I have it here by your name and my name. And I can't stop thinking of, you guys are the horror Griswolds. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about that. Like, I just, like, and it's perfectly cast. When I look at you and Zoe and those kids, Like it was so believable.
I
And
mean, I think we said that on set, that between me and Zoe, if you look at Audrey and Lachlan, they could believably be our kids. There's a lot of family resemblance.
1,000,000,000%, Mark. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like
Yeah.
whoever so let me ask you this, Mark.
Stephanie Gorin is the casting director here in Canada. So as far as I know, that's Stephanie cast the four of us. So we're all Canadian. Zoe, Audrey, Lachlan, and myself, and Miles came up from the States.
It's no coincidence that Canadian guests are like amongst the sweetest I've ever had. I've had over 600 interviews. I've never had a Canadian guest that was like, "Ugh, I wish that went differently." Like they're all so sweet and so kind and so like just great people. And it's I just whoever Stephanie clearly had a vision, because I'm looking at the screen and I'm thinking when I saw the first episode, it's perfect. I'm never like there's shows you watch, you're like, oh, I don't believe that. Like that, I don't know about that father or that mother or that brother or sister or those friends or that boyfriend, girlfriend. But I want to tell you right now, I look at that picture and I'm like, it all adds up. It makes sense. Like
casting is a bit of a black box to me. So I know Stephanie Gorin was the casting director. I'm sure there was back and forth between casting and Andy and Barbara, Jason, whoever was involved in picking and trying to put the family together. But anyway, I agree with you. I think they picked the perfect family. We had a great family.
Mark, what do you think? I'll end with this. What do you think what the scariest part of Derry is?
I mean, so far I've only seen the first two episodes, and to be fair, I'm strangely not finding it that scary to me. But I think it's because I know people that are in it, and I know, like, I can see Andy everywhere, and so I'm actually able to watch this, and I'm just really enjoying how good it is. But I think just this idea that this evil presence is below the city, and how strange and corrupted all the adults are in this city, like, or in this town. As Andy has said, nobody is safe. So I guess the scariest thing is it's not safe to fall in love with any of these characters, because nobody is safe. Anybody, as far as we know, they're all up for grabs. So.
Yeah, Mark, you were absolutely terrific, man. I wish you so much like good fortune and luck in the future, and I hope you come back sometime, because you set the series off in such a positive way, and you're so talented. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors moving forward.
Thank you very much. I'm so gratified that you reached out to talk about it.